everybody, welcome back to my channel. And by the caption you already know what this video is going to be about, and that is baking. The question is, do I know how to bake? I can't really say because I haven't had people taste a cake that I make other than my little brother and sister, so I can't really tell you, but I am gonna sit here and talk to you about my baking experience from about 2 days ago. And it was actually pretty decent. For me to actually never have made a layered cake, I think I did very good, and I'm gonna tell you why I think so. For some reason, I just had a craving of a cake. I don't really eat cake like that because it's too sweet. I'm not a sweets person, but I decided to go to Publix, and I wanted to just get me some white cake, some icing, and some whipped cream because I don't like it too sweet. And I went home. Oh, before I went home, I went to Dollar Tree and I got 2 little pans because I didn't want a big cake. I just wanted to start out really small before I waste the whole cake, or a large cake, I guess. So I went home and I just said, okay, I'm gonna make a layered cake, and I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm just gonna go with the flow. That's what I did. So first step, I mixed the batter and whatnot, and I did the egg white recipe. The egg white recipe, because I wanted the cake to be more just white, like white, no, not yellowish. So I also was wondering, when I had stirred it, like I mixed it really well, and then I noticed that the batter got really fluffy. I don't know what that means. It seemed like it was a good thing, but who knows, because I've never I've never mixed a batter to the point where it got fluffy like that. Like, you know how whipped cream, like if you make whipped cream with the egg whites, I know the egg whites cause it, but you make it and it forms a stiff peak. It was kind of like that, and I said, oh my god, I overmixed it. But I said, whatever, too late. It is what it is. So I put the batter in both pans, then I put it in the oven for about 30 minutes. And when I took it out, I said, okay, let's just hope that this attempting to make a layered cake doesn't turn out to be a complete disaster. So I decided to go ahead and take a risk, and I flipped them over. And well, no, before I flip it over, I gotta go back one step. I cut like around the edges to make sure that the cake is like loose, so it won't stick in case it did. But I flipped it over. Both of them came out like, I don't know, they came out perfect. And I said, wow, maybe I can nail this. Maybe. We're gonna see. And after that, what do I do next? Oh, I put them in the refrigerator because I've seen videos years ago, because I don't watch Food Network anymore, but when I used to watch it, I would see how these professional bakers would make their cakes and how they would, shape them. They would cut them on the top, but they don't cut hot cakes. They have them in the freezer or in the refrigerator, cooling, and after they're cool, then they cut it so you get a smoother, it's smoother appearance to it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna let it cool off, and then I'm gonna get in the shower for 15 minutes. So that's what I do. When I come back, I take it out, and I actually decide to, well, I didn't really realize that the internal temperature was still warm, but it was cool on the outside. So I said, okay, well, it's cool, so I'm gonna cut it. So I decided to cut the top of the cake, and then I started cutting around the edges of both cakes that I had. And I said, okay, next is the icing. Before I put that in the piping bag, or in this case, plastic bag, I just mix it with the whipped cream that I bought because I don't like my icing sweet. It's just too sweet when it's just regular icing. It's like sugar. It's just diabetes. So I mix it with the whipped cream, and then after that, I put it in a plastic bag because I don't have a piping bag. I'm not a professional baker, so I don't have professional baker utensils. Now, I put it in the plastic bag, and then I cut the tip of it, and then I just, I put it in the middle on the first cake at the bottom. Like, I put it on top of that, and I just kind of swirled it around like the professional bakers do. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna see if it works. and it came out pretty good. It was okay. And I put the other cake on top of it. So as far as I can see, with me not being a professional, of course I'm gonna think what I want. So I think it's actually pretty good. And then I just realized something. The cake is lopsided. One cake is kind of like in. It didn't look too good, because that was, well, I noticed that after I started putting the icing on, because I did also notice how it was kind of crumbling. The cake was crumbling while I was putting the icing on, so I'm just like, oh my god, it's a disaster. Oh. But I said I can't stop now, so I'm just gonna keep putting icing on around the edges and on the top, and I get more and more, you know, so you can't see the cake crumbles all over the place. So I try to cover it up with more icing. And I just realized something, because me being the somewhat not so bright girl that I am, I noticed the icing melting, because I'm doing it on top of a hot stove. Well, the stove wasn't hot, but the oven was hot, so the stove top was hot. And so I just said, you know what, should I give up? And then I said, nah, I'm gonna put it back in the freezer or in the refrigerator and let it cool off a little more. So I let it cool off for about 10 more minutes, and I take it back out, and then I start, you know, putting more on it to kind of shape it. Since it's cool, I can actually, you know, make it a shape rather than it just melting down every time I try to put it on there. And it was working. I was doing a good job. So then I had some of that writing icing, you know, what you can write with. I used that also, but I couldn't figure out what type of design I wanted to put on it, because like I said, I'm not a professional, so I had no idea. So I just said, okay, I'm just gonna put my initials on it, because, well, why not? I have nothing else to do. So put my initials on it, and then I put some red swirls around it, and it turned out pretty decent. For it to be my first layered cake, I thought I did pretty good. And then it was really surprising. See, of course I like my own work, but I posted every step on Instagram, and I didn't think people were gonna watch it, nor I didn't think they were going to like comment and you know, tell me that it looks good. And I'm just like, people actually like this? And then I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna cry. But I said, no, I can't cry, because this means on to better things. Now, I also put it on Snapchat, and then I had friends that really was like, oh, I want a piece. And I said, oh, you want a piece of my cake? This ugly disaster that I almost made? You actually want it? That's why I'm making this video right now, to let you guys know how terrible I expected it to be, but in reality, it was actually a really good thing. So I also wanted to just reflect on, you know, back on my cake baking experience, because I know that next time, now I know what not to do. Oh, speaking of that, knowing what not to do, me just wanted to taste it, because I ended up cutting into it as well. I cut into the cake after it was all done, and it's smeared. The icing inside, it's smeared on all over the cake where I had cut it. And I said, this is not what a store-bought cake does. But then I realized a store-bought cake is actually cold. So I said, okay, everybody, because I was really sleepy. So I said, okay, I'll cut a piece tomorrow, and let's see how it turns out. So that's what I did, because that was a fail. Now the next day, kind of midday, I forgot about it almost, and I went in there, and my little sister came home, and I cut her a piece, and that was when I remembered. I was like, oh, it looks good. It looks good now, because the icing was inside and it wasn't smeared in the cake. I just saw a perfect cake slice. So from then on, I said, maybe I am good at this. Maybe. So that was my learning experience on what not to do after baking a cake. And it was a success. Sorry about that. So now I know that when I make another cake in the future, which I might be posting on here, I mean, if I have other disasters, of course I'm not going to upload it, but if I know that I really can do a very good job on a cake, and I might even use fondant, I'm going to upload it so you guys can see my progress, because now I know what not to do. And I might buy some cake utensils as well. So with that being said, I hope you guys like this video. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button, and also let me know in the comment section below what other videos you want me to upload or talk about. It really doesn't matter. I may do it, I may not, but if you give me some good ideas, 9 times out of 10 I will upload it and I will answer all your questions. And if you want, you can go follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, both of my Instagrams and on Twitter. And thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next